Greetings, fellow man. Servus Männer. It's Red Pill Germany again, and today I want to tell you about the women's marches that are happening all over the world against the evil President Donald Trump. So not only in Washington we see protests around the inauguration of the 45th President of the United States, but also in major capital cities all over the world we see that Democrats abroad are calling lefties everywhere, and especially American expats, to protest against Donald Trump today on the 21st of January. Now in Germany we also had events at Berlin, Cologne, Heidelberg and Munich, for example, and there it was basically expat Americans, the so-called Democrats abroad, who campaigned and who set up these events. Now they are fairly small events actually, just a handful of people, maybe 600, 300, I don't know. It's fairly pathetic, this amount. But I can already see how the mainstream media in the United States, or also the left-wing media worldwide, tries to spin that, like that the whole world is basically protesting against Donald Trump, when in fact in a capital city or a major city only 300 to 600 people are actually going out on this day with very fine weather actually. So don't let this impress you, America, but I know that this wouldn't impress you anyway. I just want to give you the background information that no matter how clever they choose the camera angle to make 100 people look like 10,000, it is really just a handful of ideologues and zealots who are taking to the streets today. The official numbers are very low. So what are they up to? So for me, this is a little aftershock, a little tiny weak echo of the Hillary Clinton supporters crowd, and this is why it's called a woman's march also. I mean, why don't they say against Trump or Democrats protesting, whatever? No, it's a woman's march, and this is very interesting, I think, because I don't really get the woman element. I really don't get it. I mean, yeah, he said grab him by the pussy, but that is not really enough, I think. So what they believe in here, and what they also say on their websites, is actually that they are for Black Lives Matter, they are for more Muslim immigration, nobody is illegal, they are against guns and against white men, of course, but LGBT, whatever, AI, I've never heard that. LGBT AI, I've never seen that. I have no idea what that means, but they are also positive, of course, yeah. And if you go to the website of this Women's March thing and you see who the partners are or the sponsors, it is actually a very, very long list, and it is the who is who of lefty, communistic, pro-immigration NGOs. You see a lot of Jewish organizations, a lot of Muslim organizations, lots of environmentalist or so-called environmentalist organizations. You see abortion clinic doctor associations, Planned Parenthood, of course, right? All this stuff. So it's very clear who is behind these protests, but I still haven't understood the woman concept yet. But then again, when you think about it, isn't it clear why it is a woman's march? Because women co-opt everything and they infiltrate everything. So they say, of course, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter. But and then when you see how affirmative action is actually practiced, you see it only benefits white women, yeah, women in general, but mostly white women in Western countries, of course. So I don't really care about minorities. I tell you the truth. I'm not here to tell you, oh, I care so much about the poor Muslims and the poor black people. I don't really care about them. Yeah, they should have equal rights. End of story. But the reality is that these women are just using these minorities. They would say other minorities, but everyone knows that women are not a minority. They're the majority. There are more women than men, so women are not a minority. But women use actual minorities, in order to strengthen their cause, basically. Yeah? They manipulate public sentiment by appealing to sentimentality of the masses, but then they can actually get their hands into the money stream, and all this affirmative action money goes to them in the end. and not to black communities and not to poor Muslims and poor migrants. No, it's gonna go to women. And this is why this event is called a Women's March. And if these minority people are too stupid to see that, then, well, I hope that they will realize it at some point in the future, at least, after they have been betrayed and backstabbed time and time again. And of course, I should say, if you legally have a protest and it's peaceful, which it wasn't in Washington, by the way, this was not a peaceful protest we've seen there. But let's say, for the sake of argument, let's say here in Munich, for example, this women's march would actually be peaceful. Of course, it is their right in the German state to hold these events. It is their right in my country. But I still have to ask the question why the hell they do this. If this is a march on Washington, why don't they literally go to Washington and leave my country? I don't want them to bring their conflicts and their aggression and all their criminal energy here to Germany. We have enough problems as it is, and Black Lives Matter is not a German issue, yeah? And all this other stuff has nothing to do with Germany. So take that shit out of my country. I don't want it here. Of course, it is your legal right, but I also have the right to criticize it. And American expats, especially these Democrat expats, they're just busybodies infiltrating our country, making use of the fact that they can get a German taxpayer funded education here, also many times in English language, by the way. They don't even have to integrate or study German, these lazy fucks, and they are basically parasites here in Europe. That's what they are. So in a previous video I talked about this chick from Chicago running away from paying back her student loans, but a lot of them actually get an education or a degree here in Germany, and then they just piss off. Yeah? So for the most part, they are the typical non-producing parasitic crowd that you know. Maybe they have lowly jobs being a barista or some part-time teacher, but they never produce what they take out of the system, that's for sure. So they just cry for more redistribution of wealth, and they of course point fingers at everyone else who's evil. Well, not everyone. I think it's mostly straight white men, because they are the ones who actually produce. They are the ones that can be exploited by such parasites. So as I said before, you know, if CNN tries to spin this in a way that everyone, the whole world is worried about Trump and they're all demonstrating, bullshit. This is all orchestrated by these globalist NGOs. George Soros, for example, is a guy who funds a lot of these organizations. It's the typical crowd, you know, gun control, pro-abortion, anti-white, anti-male hate groups, terrorist groups like Black Lives Matter, for example, also. And this is orchestrated by American expats and not by the local people. It's not like local Germans said, oh, let's protest against Trump. No. This is a network of Democrat Party American expats, basically, and they try to stage these protests globally so that it looks like that the whole world is somehow anxious about Trump or protesting against Trump and his new administration. When in fact many people in Germany are really mildly hopeful and have nothing against Russia or Trump. Yeah, they might be skeptical, but they're not hate-filled like these professional activists, these parasites, basically. So for a group that is using words like love and empathy and respect so much, you sure shoot a lot of people, smash a lot of windows, and beat up a lot of people who just so happen to disagree with you. And you want to make people believe that you are just growing stronger now under Donald Trump, when in fact I think that people are starting to get really fed up with people like you. It is time for you to get a job, take care of your own life, you know, make your own money, buy your own food, pay your own rent, be an adult, and don't bother us with your moral crusades here. And especially, get the fuck out of my country. You shouldn't be here if you stage these protests here in German cities. You have maybe a legal right to do it, but it just shows how little respect you have for our culture, for our traditions, and for our way of life here in Germany. And rest assured, the majority of the German people does not want you here. you American Democrat expats. It is actually funny how most of these expats are organized in these expat networks, and they never really interact with German society at all. They might have some weird queer loser friends at the universities, but they really stay away from German society. They don't speak the language. They just stay in their pathetic little bubble and go drinking on the weekends. So this is really what I want you guys from all over the world to know, that these pictures you see here, this is not a spontaneous outrage of people worldwide. This is just the Democrat expat network staging these events here to make it look like that. And maybe then their allies and supporters in the media will spin that. Maybe we see that tomorrow or tonight or next week, that the first reports are starting to come out, and if not, then maybe not. But to me it just looks like that this is all orchestrated, it's all on the same day, and they want to make it look like, give the appearance as if this was some global worldwide movement, when in fact it is just George Soros, his typical pro-abortion, anti-gun, anti-white male crowd with some expat supporters. I mean, I was an expat too in America and in Japan for many, many years, and I always tried to be respectful of their cultures and traditions, and I never protested against anything. Of course, I have my opinion on things that are happening in Japan or happening in America, but I never violently took to the streets to protest for something, change Japanese society or change US society or disrupt the public peace in any form or in any shape. And this is, I think, how expats should behave when they are guests in another country. They should realize that they are tolerated there, but they have to keep their opinions to themselves sometimes, unless people ask them. You know, don't tell people what you think. Keep it to yourself. This is what you do in another country when you're the guest of other people. This is also what I did. Of course, I have my opinion on US politics, but I didn't tell it to my US friends unless they specifically asked me. And the same I did in Japan also. And if you do it differently, you should get the fuck out of the country and go home to your own country. That's what you should do. And then some people in the comment section also asked why they take religious freedom or religious groups here into the theme of these protests, when in fact it is clear that by religious freedom these people mean just Islam, right? They want more Islam. And it is very clear what happens if the followers of the Arab Muhammad actually will be more numerous or will come to power. Then those commies are actually the first ones who end up being driven out of the country or being executed. Just look at Iran, a very active communist youth during the revolution, and where are they now? Yeah, they're all abroad or dead. And what we have now is the Islamic State. What happened during the Arab Spring? Lots of communist or even democratic young people, you know, and who took over now? Islamists. There you go. Alright guys, this is just what I really needed to tell you, and I'm going for a little run now. I hope you also enjoy your weekend. Servus, Kameraden!